Hey guys, welcome back to the Be Better podcast. This is episode 20 with a special guest of ours, Kadin McElwain, and my new co-host, as you know, Matt Alexander. Guys, how we doing?
Doing
I'm
great.
doing
Thanks.
well, Nate. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, absolutely, brother. Thanks so much for coming on. So I know you and Matt talked a little bit beforehand. So Matt, I'm sure you have a ton of questions that you want to start with for Kadin. Go ahead and jump into it, brother. I'm just trying to learn about him as much as everybody else is.
Hey, Kadin. Let's start off by just telling us a little bit of background for you. Who's Kadin? Tell me a little gist about yourself.
Absolutely, Matt. I was diagnosed with autism at the age of 2. I was born in New York in 2004, and I've lived in Arizona and Tennessee before settling here in Ohio. I'm going to Kent State University right now, and throughout my life, I've been told by a bunch of people that I was incapable of being an adult because I've had autism. But time and time again, I was able to define all the odds and accomplish so much. Just this past week, I found out I made the dean's list for last semester. My journey in advocacy started in 2022 for a class project. A group and I set up a GoFundMe for the Autism Society of America. We ended up raising $1,085 for that organization. And from there, the advocacy just evolved into bigger things, like me speaking at meetings, raising money for a really great organization in Lake County, the Special Needs Birthday Club. I put on a toy drive for special needs kids for my county with 9 different businesses this past Christmas. And going into the future, I have some big things planned.
Wow, that sounds awesome. It sounds like you're really taking life by the horns and going full force. I applaud you, man. That's most of some people out there in general. So keep doing what you're doing. So I know you
Thank you.
said that the biggest part of what you like to do, I guess, in your life would be spreading autism awareness. Where do you start?
Well, I start mainly by reading the news, seeing what's going on in the autism community, and in that particular town. And then if I see something that has to do with special needs and something negative, I email officials and say, I saw this article. Let's collaborate on something to raise awareness about autism and special needs. One recent example is me saving the Mosley Career Readiness Academy, which is a special needs school in North Carolina. Uh, from closure, they were going to close that down to make way for a migrant center, which I don't know if you read about that. I immediately emailed the board the day I found out. 2 hours later, I found out it was saved, and I got connected with the commissioner of Wilmington, where the school is located, Dane Scalise, and we're going to work on some ways to raise awareness for autism in that town. But mainly, the way I do my advocacy is either by communicating with people I want to collaborate with or reading the news.
Hey, I'm going to jump in real quick because what you just said, man, I just want to, before we continue, I just have to, for anybody out there that ever gets to hear this story, man, I know we're just at the tip of the iceberg, but I want to applaud you for everything that you've been able to do so far. I think you're a remarkable young man, and I'm so proud of you as a stranger to see what you've been able to do in just your short 19 years. I can only imagine 30 years from now what you're going to have under your belt as far as accolades. So, man, props to you for doing everything so far. I'm going to give you a bunch of praise and kudos later on as well, I'm sure, man, because I'm just so proud of you. In this case, I have a couple questions for you. So you're 19, I'm 27, turning 28. Matt's in his 30s, early 30s. I would say when we were growing up, there was definitely kids on the spectrum, but a lot of the people that we knew that were on the spectrum were undiagnosed, right? And I know the previous generations as well, there really wasn't a spectrum. There wasn't a scale. There wasn't really much knowledge about autism. In comparison to back then versus today, right? What do you think that range is as far as like getting people to know about the awareness of autism?
That's a great question, Nate. I'd say we're improving in today's society. We're learning more about the various spectrums, and we know that people on the autism spectrum can do so much. Dan Aykroyd had autism. Albert Einstein had autism, Da Vinci, Newton, Seinfeld, uh, Nietzsche, who was one of my favorite philosophers, he was on the spectrum. But I think we have an awful long way to go before we're completely aware of autism's capabilities. And most certainly, I feel like the government isn't taking autism awareness, autism research, or autism rights seriously enough. And I really don't get it. I really don't.
I would agree with you. I think in a nutshell too, and Matt, I know you'll agree with this as well because we've talked about it before, but Caden, the mental health epidemic in this country is very sad. I mean, autism is one of the mental health issues, but there's so many other categories as well that just kind of swept under the rug, right? I mean, 100 years ago, people that had autism and other illnesses, they were being sent to, group homes to have lobotomies done. I mean, that was the only solution at the time, right? So I think that you're right. We are making strides in the right direction. Obviously, I hope that keeps propelling in the right area because some of the people that you just named have made some of the most remarkable impacts on this world and on our species. And I think autism is a beautiful thing, man, because there's some people I know that are autistic that although their social skills might not be normal, and what's normal mean anyways, but it might not be maybe up to society standard, but they're some of the most intelligent and smartest people I've ever met. And it's just their thoughts are so much more intricate than mine or other people that they're not able to verbalize it. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think autism sometimes gets a rap of being a negative thing when in reality, most of the people I know that are autistic are really super geniuses. And I can tell, Caden, you're a super intelligent guy. I can tell that just by how you speak, how you carry yourself, and obviously the things you've already accomplished. Nobody else is thinking that way, Caden. And I want people out there to know that autism is not a disability. In my opinion, it could be an advantage.
I agree.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, man. Let's see. So you were telling me about you were trying to get legislation to be changed. What's the process of that right now?
Uh, process is simply me emailing my ideas for legislation to various officials, mainly. Eventually, I would like to go to the White House and testify there on that, and meet with various senators to discuss that. But in the sense of the status of legislation currently, I'd say my communications with those officials, at least, is currently unknown on their decisions. Since I, but I emailed some officials in Australia after I read an article about someone with Down syndrome being attacked, and I told them, "Look, I have this idea for legislation where if you assault, abuse, or rob someone with autism, someone or mistreat them or any other special needs, you should get 25 to life."
You think that'd be
And
considered like a potential hate crime in that same category?
absolutely along the same lines as race and the homophobic, LGBTQ stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that's very fair, because I think that's a very underutilized section. Let me ask you this, talking about legislative. I have my own view of politics, and people that have watched podcasts know my view, of course. But are there any people in your corner right now in the government that's advocating for this with you? Is there anybody out there, senators, congressmen, representatives, anybody out there that's even has this on their radar as of this moment?
Absolutely. Lake County Treasurer Mike Zerrin has been helping me a lot with getting autism awareness out there in my county. We've collaborated on pretty much all of the events and fundraisers and everything else that I've done for the county thus far.
That's fantastic. I'm glad that they're giving you support because, I mean, you're a one-man army. You can't do everything alone. It's good to have some support from the higher ups. And well, I'll tell you, man, the Be Better podcast, Matt and myself, man, if we can do anything ever, and I mean ever, to help you kind of get to the next step, if we need to reach out to people, if we need to advocate for it with you, let us know. I mean, we'll stand with you hand in hand for sure. But we can always touch base on that on a future setting. Um, Getting those things that you've done, I'm just curious, man, because like I said, you've done some remarkable things that not the average man could do, you know? despite the cards being stacked against you. What are some of the obstacles that you've had to deal with? Let's just say, we can get into a little bit more later, but just dealing with legislative, right? Trying to get to those people. What are some of the obstacles that you've had to come across?
Hmm, hmm, and with that's a great question, Nate. I haven't really thought about it, but the main difficulty with a few of them is not getting a response at all. Oh, but that doesn't discourage me at all. Oh, I'm a stubborn guy. I never give up until I get what I want or what I want to achieve.
I could
That's the
definitely
way
tell.
it is, my friend. That's what you have to be. I've been in business for a long time, and it's the word resilience. That's what you have to be. You have to be resilient in anything you do. The resiliency is what's going to make or break everything, and it's going to set you apart from the next person. You know what I mean? Matt, did you have to say something? I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying I totally agree. Like I definitely see that, just your aura around you, your vibe. It's just, it's just spewing resilience and adversity that you just, I mean, obviously all the accomplishments you made, it's just phenomenal to hear. Um, so I mean, like again, applaud to you, man. That's awesome.
Thank you, Matt.
Yeah, we're super proud, man. So I want to continue though, because I want to learn a little bit more about kind of the game plan for you, right? So you've already, like we said 100 times so far, you've already made some great strides. Whenever, obviously going to the White House is in the future, that's great. But whenever you reach out to maybe like local governments, right? I know you said you reach out, email, and all that good stuff. The hardest difficulty is getting people to respond. I get that. Have you ever just like went into some office, physically and tried to demand to talk to somebody?
Mm, I haven't really thought about that. Honestly, I really haven't. And
Yeah, I mean, not saying anything crazy, right? You don't want everyone to come off as hostile, but I do think, sometimes people need to understand that, hey, this person's serious. This is a epidemic in this country that needs to be talked about, needs to be discussed. We need to have a game plan and action to support people on the spectrum, right? And if
right,
not support, but encourage, like we said earlier. So, I know a little bit more about your story from what Matt told me when you guys talked. I mean, obviously you being diagnosed at an early age. At the same time, kind of everybody was kind of a naysayer, like you said, right? Everybody kind of put you on the back burner, just not really worried about it. But you were able to graduate high school early, correct?
correct. It was an online school, and I couldn't have done it without the help of my parents. They were pretty much the only two people, oh, in my corner, maybe a few teachers during middle school and high school. One story I have in particular is during middle school, had Blackman Middle School in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Boom, all my services were completely cut off because they couldn't tell I was on the spectrum. When my parents found out about that, they were mad. They went to a meeting surrounding me, as to be honest, I was messing around at that time. Nothing too crazy, just minor snitching on people. You've probably been there. There, they confronted the principal about my services being cut, and the principal said, and I quote, "Why don't you just put them in a robotics class?" And they weren't. My parents weren't having it. They messaged to everyone out of the sun, autism organizations, autism advocates. From what they told me, they even messaged a Tennessee senator surrounding this. I mean, ideally, in my opinion, they should have sued the school, but that just shows you how committed they were to getting me to the place I am today.
Yeah, that's fantastic, man. I mean, I love to hear that your parents were so, righteous in that mindset. So you went to a public school before you went to an online school.
Yes, he started out in a special needs school when I was younger, just to become verbal and everything else. Then, for I believe kindergarten, maybe first grade, I switched to public school, and then I did public school for middle, did public school for the first 2 years of high school, and then of course COVID hit, and bam, everything was shut down, and everything had to be online. At first, I despised online school, well, but the more I got into it, the more I learned that I thrive in an online environment has like a better concentration rate. For senior year, I was planning on doing that in person at public school just because I wanted the full senior year experience. But then I had a COVID exposure, and I messaged some of my teachers at Siegel High School, where this was at, and asked them, look, I don't want to miss anything. Can you send me X, Y, and Z work? And one teacher emailed me back saying, nope, this ain't the pandemic anymore. We don't have to do that. So that teetered me towards the idea of finishing senior year online. And then the last straw came when a trans student at the school was bullied in the bathroom stall, and the school just sat and watched and didn't do anything. I mean, you would have expected this. This is Tennessee we're talking about. They're all Trump, guns, and drugs. We don't lack homophobia, homosexuals, and everything else. So me being the advocate for LGBTQ rights, I am. I identify as bi. I I asked my parents immediately after hearing about that to let me go fully online. They obliged, and then Valentine's Day 2022, I graduated early.
So let's bring it back just a couple minutes here because I want to touch on something. So when you went to public school, Matt and I are both public school kids. We know the system is broken from the ground up, and it's hard for people that are not on the spectrum to do well there, right? Um, in your case, what kind of obstacles and what kind of how difficult was it for you to be in a public school setting with a school system that just didn't understand what the hell was going on?
Mhm. It it was very difficult. Academically, I could do the work just fine. I got A's and B's. The only class I really struggled with was math, but who doesn't struggle in math? The the main thing for me was the social stuff and not understanding social cues. Hence why I was always telling on people, people always annoying them, and those two bad habits of mine got me into a lot of pickles with students.
Yeah, and just to be, transparent with you as well, like somebody that's young, because you were in middle school and you said kindergarten through middle school, all the way through your first 2 years of high school. Young kids, man, they don't know, right? They don't know how to react to somebody that's on the spectrum. They don't know really what's going on. They're just as confused as anybody else are, right? So like, those kids, man, probably were pretty cruel sometimes, I'm sure, and just because they didn't understand, that the situation's a little different. Um, and I can only imagine how difficult that must have been for you sometimes, just for, because there is a little bit of a disconnect, but just because those kids, man, they refused to, understand really what was going on.
Yeah, it was really difficult. I don't blame the kids necessarily. Like you said, very young, they got some learning to do. Mainly, I blame the school system, and quite frankly, some of those kids' parents, they should have taught their kids to treat people with respect and understand certain things about people.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think everything starts in the household, and for I was very young. I had a neighbor that was special needs, not autistic, but severely special needs. And I was always taught, that person is just like me and you. There's no difference. We're all humans. We all, have eyes. We all have ears. We all see, all this stuff. And I've always looked at people on the spectrum, and other people maybe have a little more intense disabilities, but the same way. They're people like you and I. There's no difference. And, to treat everybody with respect because they're all just wanting to be loved. They're all just wanting to be loved and understood. And that's just all what it's about. You know what I mean? And
Yeah, absolutely.
some people have a hard time doing that. And I can only imagine maybe some of the bullying that you maybe went through. And I just want to say it's unacceptable, man. And if there was a kid like me in that school, I would have beat the shit out of anybody that ever tried to, play with you. So I just want to say, I applaud you for being brave enough to go to a public school for that long. And once again, man, you are a remarkably intelligent young man. And I'm super proud of you.
Thank you, Nate.
You're welcome, brother. Matt, do you have anything to add? I'm sorry. I know I just find Kadin so interesting. I'm sorry. I'm taking over the conversation here.
No, you're good. So what's next on the Kadin's plan? What's your next thing? What's your next step?
Hmm, that's a great question. Well, I got a lot of these appearances landed for this year. I'll be telling some more podcast hosts about myself. So stay tuned for that. Advocacy wise, I'm planning an autism awareness month fundraiser with a local restaurant in Lake County. I just got a call this week, and the the one big thing I'm planning for this year for my county is a go out and vote event in June 21st for the presidential elections.
Awesome.
And this is my first big event I'm planning. I'm planning on having some activists and politicians speak at it. And there's going to be a tribute to Eastlake Mayor Dennis Morley, and I'm planning, who passed away this year. Rest in peace to him.
Oh wow. Sounds like some exciting stuff coming up, you know. RIP to your friend.
Oh,
What
he wasn't a friend. I read about his story and I was touched.
oh
So I'm planning on calling the assistant sometime after this interview tomorrow or sometime this week to see if we can get that tribute planned out during
oh
the
that'd be
event.
great. Yeah,
That's
that's awesome.
fantastic. Did you so this is you're 19, so this will be your first presidential election that you get to vote in. Are you pretty excited about that?
Yeah, I'm very excited. I'm looking at some of the candidates and not to endorse anyone, but so far, some of the independents seem very promising to me, particularly Jasmine Sermon, who I'm going to be talking with on the 16th. Her policies are exactly what this country needs. Strict, showing everyone that you need to treat people with respect, and more importantly, she's planning on mandating a bill to eliminate student loans completely and possibly make college free.
Wow, that's all very good in theory, my friend. I mean, I have my own reservations about certain things like that, but I'm always down to listen to people's ideas. So, what did you say her name was? Jasmine what?
Jasmine Sermon,
Sure.
she's on Facebook, and you can actually book a meeting with her to debate certain issues, discuss things you're passionate about, X, Y, and Z.
That's great. I'd love to do that. You know, I voted one way the last two elections. I won't get into it. But you know, I've a new independent candidate that's really caught my attention in the last year and a half was Robert Kennedy Jr. Have you seen anything about him?
Yeah, I've seen stuff about him. He was my initial candidate. Looked good just because he was a Kennedy, but my parents told me you should really look into the guy before you decide anything.
I would definitely agree. No matter if you vote right, left, independent, whatever, the more research you can do about a candidate, the better. I mean, the more in you know, obviously people will vote accordingly to how they like Caden, but the best thing you can be at the poll, because I know I voted in the last two elections, the best thing you can be is informed. So that way you go in there with an unbiased opinion. And honestly, like I've always firmly believed, we're all on the same plane together, right? This is America's a plane of you know, aircraft, right? If I don't like the pilot, I'm not going to hope the plane crashes. You know, I'm just going to hope that when we land, maybe we get a new pilot. But in this case, you know, having the most informed decision before you elect a pilot of this plane is the best way to go about it. And I'm very proud that your first election, you're doing things right. You're doing research on your candidates. And it's even more impressive that you're electing to go with an independent rather than a right or left. I mean, that's really phenomenal. I wish more people looked at it that way.
Thanks, Nay. For record, I think both parties have good points. I'm pro LGBTQ, yeah, I'm pro life. I'm for treating people with respect and treating people as equals. Yeah, I despise DEI and all that fancy stuff. I think there's should be student loan debt eliminated. Yeah, I don't think LGBTQ content is needed in schools. My concern with both parties is that they need to find something they can both agree on so that everyone's happy. If more people did that, society wouldn't be so broke. Yeah, and it really wouldn't.
That's one of the wisest words I've ever heard from a young man.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
I wish I could give you a microphone that could reach the whole world, man, because people need to hear that. I mean, it's so true. I've said it before, Matt, you've said it before. We all think that, and I think the common denominator is finding things you have in common with people, rather than looking in the bad, right? I mean, I agree with you 100% on some of those issues of which you stated. I feel similar in some ways, but there's always somewhere to meet in the middle. There's always a compromise. There's always a give and a take, right? And people are so biased to get their side or their agenda pushed that they forget about the other side, right? And all that does is create animosity and hostility. And then what happens? We have a politician that gets elected, and let's say he's left, okay? All the people on the right try to block everything that he does. And then you get a guy that's elected on the right, everybody on the left does the same thing, and we get nowhere. We're stuck with the same problems that we've been facing for 50 years because it's been a stalemate. And nobody gets anything. It's very, very sad.
Yeah, I agree. Either they stick with old problems or they create new ones. Funny story about that, actually. Do you guys know what furries are by any chance?
Furries, yes. I've had some experience with furries, my friend. I'm not a fan.
Well, there's the senator in Oklahoma that really got on my nerves. I was scrolling through Instagram and I saw a post that my friend made saying that that Oklahoma senator was proposing a bill that would ban furries in Oklahoma, and if those furries were to show up at school dressed up in that animal attire, they would be hauled away to animal control and banned from school events. And I thought, okay, I got to look into that. I looked it up. And sure enough, as ridiculous as it sounded, it was real. Real. It was everywhere. Er, One, I don't think legally they can even kidnap those people because they're technically humans. Even worse, they're minors, so their parents could very much get angry at them. And two, that just goes to show how our government takes small things and tries to make new problems out of them.
Instead of finding a solution.
Yeah, absolutely, especially with the elections coming up. They're looking for drama.
That's so
Drama,
true.
unfortunately, it's sad, but it's unfortunate.
Well, drama gets votes and drama sells, and if for any reason, it's always funny whenever you see around election time, that's whenever politicians really start talking about problems they should have been dealing with the whole time they were in office. But nobody gives a damn until it's campaigning season, right? Same deal with this guy. I
Right.
mean, I personally am not a fan of furries. I think it's another form of mental illness that needs to be addressed. But I do not think they need to be hauled away by animal control and locked in a cage. I think that they need to get the mental health and treatment that they need. They need to get the therapy. They need to get the counseling. They need to get the love and support of their communities and their parents. Like all these people need to love and support them and figure out the best route for them. I don't think they need to be locked in a cage like a feral beast, because at the end of the day, what you said, they're human. And the most important part, what you said, they're minors. And that's a huge, a huge legal issue for them to kidnap minors, for God's sakes. I know for a fact if I had a kid and he wanted to be a furry and he went to school and he was hauled away by animal control, it would be a very bad day to be an animal control person. It'd be a very
Exactly.
bad day, so
Yeah, same, same. If one of those kids were my kids personally, I'd see the school down for diapers until they forget their mother's name, and I'd go to the police. I really would.
you have to. I mean, you'd absolutely have to. So have you ever, I'm wondering with this too, because you have such a great story, like I said earlier, and you have like you're trending in such the right direction to make big things in this world. I mean, you're going to be a big rock splashed into a big pond. You're going to be a big ripple across the water. Have you ever thought about reaching out to other celebrities or well-known people that also have autism, so you guys can share that stage together?
As a matter of fact, a podcast appearance with Tom Henley, who's an autistic influencer, 44K subs on Instagram, and I'm going to appear on his podcast cast Monday. It was originally supposed to be yesterday, but he was having some emotional problems, so I'm just waiting for him to confirm that.
That's fantastic, man. We'd love to meet him too. If you can ever get us connected with him, we'd love to meet people in the space and kind of learn from them and all that good stuff. There's one guy here that I actually talked to. I can't. I'm gonna send you his Instagram handle. Here it is. Have you ever heard of the show Love on the Spectrum?
Oh, you do. I'm watching it now.
Have you ever watched that, Kadin?
I've heard of a name, but I haven't really gotten into it.
So it's on Netflix, and it was referred to me by a buddy of mine a couple years ago, 2 years ago when it came out. And I watched it, and it was just fantastic. Seeing these people on the spectrum find love and, kind of see their daily challenges and, how society kind of rejects them, but they're in their own community, they thrive together, right? So I messaged one of the guys on there that was on the show, and we've been talking quite a bit. Matt, do you remember James Jones, the guy, he likes the Renaissance Fair?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh,
Great,
yeah, James.
dude, great
I think
guy,
he's
right?
yeah.
Yeah, awesome guy, right? So we've been talking quite a bit through Instagram for the last, I'd say, 6 months. And I would love to connect you guys together because he obviously has a decent platform. He's been on a Netflix special. And I think you guys could definitely help each other. He's a huge advocate for autism and autism awareness. And not only do I think you guys would be good buds and hang out, I think you guys would have a lot to talk about. And I believe that if I could connect you two, you guys would be able to, break so much ground in this sector. So as soon as we are done with the podcast, I'm going to send over your information to him and vice versa. I would love to connect you guys and just see what the magical things you guys are going to be able to do together. I mean, two super geniuses like you guys putting your heads together to solve the problem. We're going to have some good results. I guarantee it.
Absolutely. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, man. Let me do that. Really, I'm actually going to send to you right now while we're in the moment because it's important.
So, Kaden, I know we kind of talked about, autism awareness and all that good stuff, but let's kind of shift the subject of what do you do outside of that? Is there anything else you bring to awareness, or is there anything else you stand for, or can you kind of dive in that?
Well, I write a lot, and one of the main themes in my writing is doing the proper thing. So in a way, that's kind of the main thing I'm advocating for, in addition to autism awareness, LGBTQ rights, not being a racist, pro-life, all of that stuff. But the main thing I advocate for is kindness and doing the proper thing.
Exactly. Those are great advocates for it, man. Also, kind of stem from that, what would be, if you had to tell someone out there who's listening and they weren't aware of any type of autism spectrums, anything along that, what would you have to say to them right now to help them be informed?
That's a great question. I will tell them autism is not necessarily a disability, it's a different ability. And I would invite them to go look up all these celebrities who are on the spectrum, the Einsteins and the Da Vinci's and the Newtons and the Nietzsche's, and get involved with advocacy and all these organizations, most certainly.
Awesome. And what are some resources for people who are listening that they can help with you or help make aware? Is there any websites, any places that you would recommend them to start at?
Well, eventually, one of my goals is to start up my own autism organization that focuses on advocacy and raising awareness. But in the sense of current resources, I would recommend the Autism Advocacy Network. Not Autism Speaks. They want to cure autism when there is no justifiable reason to search for a cure anymore. Not that there ever was. Autism Society of America, which I'm raised the money for. Lake County Birthday Club. Treasurer Michael Zurin just posted the wish list on Facebook. So if you guys want to buy some gifts on that, send over to them. Definitely do that.
Can you, after
too
the
many
podcast,
autism.
Can you send me that link after the podcast? Because the Be Better podcast would be an absolute honor for us to sponsor some gifts over to you guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll send you his Facebook.
That's fantastic.
Let's see. Let's see. So, Kadin, I know that you're in college now. What's after college whenever you get done? What's the plan after that?
After college, I'll for sure have to pay off that student loan debt. I'm trying to pay it off now while in college so I can function as a human being in the United States. But after college, job wise, I'm hoping to work as a PR professional in the music industry.
Oh, music industry. Can you explain on that more?
Yeah, for my whole life, I've been passionate about music. Initially, I wanted to be a performer, but I was told that would be better as a hobby just because I have a better chance of getting struck by lightning than getting signed to a major record label. Well, and then I was going to major in tech while I can, and to get into the family business of cybersecurity and IT, but that wasn't something I was passionate about. So I revisited the music passion, and I figured the only other option for me to get into the music industry is to go into the business side of things. So that's where PR kind of came in.
Yeah.
That's a great route to work. I've been in the PR sector myself a little bit for some of my clients that I deal with on the marketing side, and PR is fantastic. But I will tell you this, from what we've learned about you today, you said that you have a better chance of being struck by lightning than getting in the music industry. You also had a better chance of getting struck by lightning than being as successful as you were, and you've already proved those people wrong. So my hope and praise to you, my friend, is like if you really want to pursue that route, pursue it. Don't be scared. And if you fail, who the hell cares? But at least you know, right? At least you figured it out that it didn't work out and you pursued that dream. I'm super confident, my friend, that you're going to be able to go out there and do whatever you put your mind to. So, if you do have that ambition, do I think the PR route is definitely the safe bet? Yeah, man, for sure, right? But if you want to be a musician in whatever genre, whatever category, go out there and give it your all, man. And if you fail, at least you know you tried, and that's all that matters. Truly, that's all that matters. We're gonna love and
Thank you,
respect you
Nate.
and support you and be proud of you either way. It doesn't matter. But what genre were you thinking about jumping into?
Hmm. Probably pop music, maybe pop punk.
Pop punk, yeah, man, absolutely. Who do you like to listen to?
I'm a music connoisseur. All music, mainly top 40, but my family has been urging me to discover new musicians from various genres. So I've been listening to a lot of emo recently and underground artists. There's this rapper I like called Yummy Me, who's very good. Shout out to him. There's a lot of SoundCloud rappers, Gil2XX, 300 Heem, on the emo side, Mayday Parade, Fall Out Boy, Pierce the Veil, We Came as Romans, Black Sabbath, Paramore of the Fray. Yeah. This might be controversial, but MGK, I like some of his pop punk stuff.
MGK was decent when he first came out, and then when he switched to the punk side, he was pretty decent, no lie there.
Yeah.
Have you ever, so you said the pop side of it as well. This is a little different, but have you ever tried to look into any of the new wave stuff that was big in like the mid 80s?
Like Aha and all of them?
Kind of similar, but a little more. There's a lot more smaller underground bands that are part of the new wave era that you should just look it up. There's too many for me to name, but I really like that genre myself, and I figured you might get a chance, and you could probably like it as well if you like that pop, but more. I don't listen to mainstream stuff myself primarily. I like listening to the lesser artists, the smaller ones, because I think the quality of their work's better, in my opinion. I think you'd get a lot of appreciation to kind of reach into that world and experience that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll have to check New Wave out.
Yeah, it's pretty good, man. A little cheesy. It's really 80s cheesy. A lot of synth sounds and I don't know. It's like do you like Billy Idol by chance?
Heck yeah.
Yeah, I like some of his stuff.
So that's kind of the I don't want to say he's like the poster child for that, but he's a big component of that. Them, new shoes, you know, they're all pretty damn good. I recommend checking them out for sure, man. I think you'd really enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll check them out.
And even and just in your genre of what you like, this is dating myself, Matt. You probably remember these guys. I know, Caden, there's no way you remember these guys. Have you ever heard of a band called CKY?
Yeah.
So
listened to it forever.
CKY is one of those punk, rock bands from back in the day. It's actually Bam Margera's brother, who was the drummer, I believe. But that was one of the first like emo punk bands that I listened to when I was way younger too, and they were just fantastic. They were really really good.
Hayden, is there a favorite band or artist that you are currently listening to that you just you have to listen to them every day? Is there anything?
There's this one song I've been playing a lot called Beyond These Walls by Michael J. Woodard, who was on American Idol. And I've explored some more of his stuff today. They have a ton of his recording. And, he's very talented, and he made the top 5 in 2017.
Oh wow! Oh wow!
Fantastic. Well, I'll tell you what, Caden, I think, like I said earlier, my friend, I think what you've done so far is just absolutely phenomenal. I mean, back against the wall, everybody counted you out, and all you've done is make great strides for you and the people that are in your category of autism, right? I mean, everybody on the spectrum should look to you as a hero for what you've done for the movement. And I mean, obviously, we stand behind you 110%. I know 100 other people that feel the same way for sure. I mean, man, we just like I said, I want to wrap this up with this kind of closing statement here. I think you are just a phenomenal young man. I look forward to the life that you're going to build and create for yourself. I think you can do whatever you want to. And you have people like us that are on the other side of the country but support you 110% no matter what it is. I've helped set up some 501c3 nonprofits myself. If you ever want to go down that route, let me know. I will help you out free of charge. I don't want anything from it. I will set it up for you, help you out with your tax stuff, all that good stuff. I mean, I could do that for you, no problem. You let me know when you're ready to do it, and we'll take over the world in that case. But I just want to thank you so much for coming on, being our 20th guest on the Be Better podcast. I think your story is inspiring. I think it encourages people on the spectrum, people off the spectrum, that if you have a dream, if you have ambition, don't let anything hold you back. No excuses, because Caden over here had everything against him and still kicked ass and still took names. And I just want to thank you again for coming on here and just really living the life that you've lived, brother, because you are an incredible human being.
Thank you, Nate. Thanks for having me.
You got it. Matt,
Yeah,
any things from you?
no, I just want to kind of go off where when you said that, Caden, you are just a remarkable young man, and keep doing what you're doing. Whether it's the PR, if you're a musician, whatever you choose, man. I know you're gonna be successful, whatever you do. So keep doing you. Be great. Be better.
Thank you, Matt.
Caden, real quick before we jump off here, if you could tell whoever listens to this, our audience, anybody else who ever picks on, if you could give them one advice, what would it be?
My advice would be don't think about what they think about you, because you are an amazing human being, and you're capable of so much more than what people think you are capable of.
I love it, brother. Well, guys,
Yeah,
if you made it this far, thank you so much for joining us on the 20th episode of the Be Better podcast. Caden here. I mean, I will post all of his social media links and handles in the bio of these videos, so you can check him out, learn more about him and his cause and what he does. But like, subscribe, check us out. Do whatever you do. Follow Caden on Instagram and Facebook like we have as well. And I look forward to seeing you guys on the next episode. And if I don't see you, be better. Thanks, guys.